Cannabis caregivers and larger grow sites will soon be illegal in Hawaii, impacting thousands. Thousands of Hawaii medical cannabis patients depend upon cannabis caregivers to grow and process marijuana for them as medicine. But those caregivers will be illegal in just a few weeks, along with the large community grow sites many of them depend on. Lawmakers say that was a mistake and that they will try to fix it as soon as possible, according to the House Public Safety Chair, Representative Della Bellotti. It really was a failure that we did not address this impending deadline, and now we have this crisis upon us, she said, meaning they've messed up. Registered caregivers are allowed to raise up to 10 medical marijuana plants for patients who can't as an alternative to dispensaries, some say are too expensive or inconvenient. Lorraine, who didn't want her last name used in the story, grows marijuana at Care Walala, the state's largest community grow site. She's also a caregiver for her mother. Both feel cannabis has eased their pain, depression, and anxiety. The change at the end of this year is going to affect me big time because I can't grow it here. I can't grow it at home, she said. She said she feels desperate knowing she won't be legally able to help her mother. Jason Hanley founded Care Walala 8 years ago as a place patients and caregivers could share space, record keeping, and expertise. Much of the cultivation is by caregivers. Caregivers will no longer be able to help people grow, plain and simple. So if you're a handicapped person or bedridden person, you have to grow your own medicine. There's no caregiving for you. Care Walala is under a legal cloud after a federal raid 14 months ago that still hasn't led to charges. Hanley said more than 500 patients and caregivers stopped coming after the raid. They're all in the black market, he said. They can't afford dispensaries and they can't get their medicine, and it's as simple as that. The December 31st sunset deadline will also ban grow sites for more than 5 patients. We will probably shut down. Yep, Hanley said. State Senator Joy San Buenaventes, who chairs the Health and Human Services Committee, agrees that the deadline will impact thousands of patients, especially for Oahu patients who live in condos where they are dependent upon caregivers to grow their medical cannabis for them. They won't be able to have that access, and that's huge, she said. Although law enforcement officials expressed suspicion that caregivers and community grow sites will lead to the black market, lawmakers say they will try to make them legal as soon as possible to protect patients. They're left either to the black market, which we know is unregulated and untested and unsafe, potentially, Bellotti said. Now we're faced with a situation and we're going to have to deal with it. Oh, my goodness. Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News, hold fire, and I'd like to hear what you guys think and feel about this before I unload.
Well, I have a lot to unload about this. I've spent, first of all, shout out to the good people at Care Walala. They are an amazing group. And it's very frustrating. So I was asked to consult on this and unfortunately didn't receive the information about the RFQ process until the day before the deadline. So I stayed up all night trying to get my little stuff in. But well, yeah, it does. But, you know, I'm still going to continue to work with those groups, including Care Walala in Hawaii. Spent some time speaking to them after I spoke at the event last year, and try to change some of these things. The issue with Hawaii is they have groups that are coming in trying to commercialize. Their lawmakers are obviously being bought and paid for, as it sounds like politics, right? But the issue here is Hawaii is a different place, right? That's why there's a reason why milk is expensive there. There's eggs are expensive there. You can't get things like, I don't have the option to go from Ohio to Michigan as a patient in Hawaii, right? I have to be able to count on what is available for me locally and count on the people who are willing to cultivate for me. And it's very difficult to see the native Hawaiians being pushed out of this industry. It's very difficult to see their lack of compassion. Speaking to their panel of regulators and senators and representatives, last year would make you want to push your fist through a wall. These people are very passionate about what they're doing. You hear people in there screaming. They had to be removed. And I know that there's always, every process, there's somebody screaming, there's hollering, there's a lot of passion here. But they need to understand and see that this passion is coming from the deep care and concern of these people. These aren't mainlanders, right? We're inherently assholes. There are some of us who, yes, care about the patients and care about the plant and are trying to provide good medicine. But at the end of the day, mainlanders typically don't give that much of a shit about their community or their neighbors. Unfortunately, get mad at me if you want to, but it's true. But when you look at these Native Hawaiian people, these are people who are a true community, who are banded together very, very deeply. And so it's inciting rage in these folks that they're being told that I can't cultivate for grandma anymore. I can't continue to do this good work anymore. And it's very frustrating. It's heartbreaking. And I will personally make sure to update you guys as much as I find out and as we hopefully get some clarity and some correction going on in the situation.
Mm-hmm. Man, this is the mess. I feel bad for all of the patients that are going to be experiencing a lack of their medicine because of this law. But I mean, you know, this is similar. I mean, this happened here in California too when legalization kicked in, because they gave everyone the right to be able to cultivate 6 plants per household, and that pretty much, you know, it got rid of a lot of the caregiver model, because they switched that to where under medical and the collective model, you can have no more than 5 people in your collective, and you were only entitled to cultivate with 500 square feet of canopy space per doctor's recommendation. And so we have seen these things happen in other markets and here in California, and so not surprised by this in the slightest.
And that's the troubling thing, is that this is not surprising, but still deeply disappointing. It's a crisis that lawmakers created. You would think that they would try to fix it instead of just feeling the pain. And it's a human rights issue for medical patients. This is an abomination. And so here the facility that is being mentioned as having been the caretaker model, faced federal prosecution 14 months ago. And I just wish every lawmaker who had the opportunity to fix this had an immediate family member that had suffered with cancer or benefited from medical cannabis to understand how pressing this is. I don't understand why they can't just make an amendment or an emergency session or do something to mitigate the issue that they created, or quit your job. Quit your job.
I can tell you why, Yarrow.
Go do something else.
I can tell you why, Yarrow. They don't want to. They don't want to.
Their fucking jobs. If you talk to these people, it was very clear on that panel who was up for fucking re-election, because there was a lot of I's and me's, and I sponsored this, I sponsored that. Cool, you sponsored it, but none of those fucking things passed. Mm-hmm. So don't tell me about your failures. Tell me about what you're going to do to fix this and address more than just making sure your ass is in that seat after the next election.
Mm-hmm.